You are the really only connect to Justice Jackson from the Nuremberg Trial. I don't know if that strikes you, but...
Just being a survivor after all these 70 years.
Yeah. You were given this assignment. Did you know much about Jackson at the time?
I never heard of him.
What's your sense of what was happening there at Nuremberg?
Well, obviously it was a very important historical event. We had some idea what the Nazis were like, but it became more and more clear as the trial developed. The kind of evidence were brought out, especially with the concentration camps and the persecution of the Jews, that the evil was just built right into it. Yeah.
As you were listening to that and gathering this information, did you have an epiphany at some point where perhaps life had a greater meaning than the trial itself?
Well, of course. But I hadn't decided what I was going to do either. And then I got to see the radio shows him on Sundays, who knows what evil lurks in the hearts of men? The shadow knows. That was an impressive program. But the wickedness and the evil that was evident in war and in the atrocities that the Germans were doing, especially. And I could see what one person in the person of Jackson, I could see what one person who knew what he stood for and had something positive, had a great influence. Like a captain of the ship, he could steer it quite a bit. And they had also, I had a chance to talk with a couple of chaplains over there. One from Washington, he was the vice president down at Georgetown University, Father Edmund Walsh. And Father Sixtus O'Connor was Franciscan I got to know. Learned from them as I started inquiring about my own interests. I said, to become a Jesuit or become a Franciscan or become a parish priest, what's the difference? And they showed, well, in your parish priest, you can stay close to your family. If you're an order priest, you belong to a new community, and whatever benefit you have for society goes to them, and they take care of it. They pledge to do that. So I opted I'd just become a parish priest.
Father O'Connor, here was the Catholic priest assigned to serve the Nuremberg defendants who were Catholic.
Yeah.
Do you get a sense of who he was?
Well, just an ideal Catholic chaplain. Even with a little bit of wry humor, I must have read this, where he joked with Gurek. He said, well, you got 10 guys to take care of, I've only got 4.
The son of a school teacher, construction worker who came to upstate New York from Ireland and enjoyed classical education, studying the works of Virgil, Cicero, etc. He spent the latter half of his college years at St. Bonaventure in philosophy classes, logic, cosmology, criteriology, not sure what that is. Pardon?
Criteriology?
C-R-I-T. Anyways, ethics, metaphysics. His grades were average. He became interested in modern philosophy and science, the science that were attacking the great doctors of the church. He wrote in the St. Bonaventure Literary magazine, materialism and positivism have attempted to replace scholastic thought as the guiding light to truth.
He certainly was a scholar.
Yeah.
Yeah, a learned man.
And Richard O'Connor took the name Sixtus after Pope Sixtus IV. He was 36 years old when he arrived at Nuremberg. Did he reflect more? When you sought his guidance, was it more kind of a spiritual direction as opposed to the experiences going on?
A vocation, for me, it was a vocational direction. I was looking at what to do. Mm-hmm. Because I wasn't going to be in the Army forever, and I wanted, what am I going to do out? And I largely, if not totally, lost interest in mechanical things. and inspired by others who are working on a different level of human interests. And I just impressed. I wanted to do, and just talking with him and talking with the other priests. I can remember this Father Edmund Walsh on Washington too, and that you want to be like them. Encourage them to recognize, and you recognize the evil you've done. What's the accountability comes in? Can you come clean? Just not, yeah. It's one of the most difficult things for people to do, to admit we're sinners. We do something wrong. One of my favorite little stories about the little boy who was eating cereal and got spilled milk all over. You spilled milk in it, Jack? No, I didn't. What's on your shirt? Milk. we don't want no, we're just inherent. We don't admit. But there was so much evidence brought forth from the very hands of the Nazis that killed him. They had backed him into a corner with that. That's why I like. And Jackson again was a man who came up with the idea. All you have to do is open it up, let everybody see what went on, and that was their downfall. Their thoroughness showed their wickedness. Yeah. Yeah.
Hans Frank, by the way, was Chaplain O'Connor's greatest success at Nuremberg. Over the winter, O'Connor rebaptized Frank, who seemed by all accounts to have been a serious student of the faith.
They were astounded, for the most, generally, you might say, they didn't know how vast the wickedness had spread all over. Most of them were limited to this area or that area, both geographically and politically. But when they were horrified with some of their concentration camps, some of them didn't know much of that either. But again, when a society, when a political society or a government takes control over everything, only people who are allowed knows what's going on. Justice is worth fighting for, living for. Justice, again, do the right thing. And my big persuasion of the trial is that the rule of law is very important. And at the three-person panel that we had over at Nuremberg, maybe 6 to 8 years ago, with a doctor from Nuremberg, another doctor from St. Louis, and when I made my final little presentation, a few words, I said it all goes back to the rule of law, which goes back to the Ten Commandments. And this Jewish man, survivor in Nuremberg, reached right through past the other panel, said, right on, you know. And it's the basis of the law is God's plan. He gives people, human beings, free will, but with that comes responsibility. We are proportionally responsible for learning how to do things right and to make things happen that way.